Hello and welcome to Women Thrive TV. My name is Raimonda Jan. I'll be your host for today's episode. Well, welcome to Women Thrive TV, 5 keys to thriving in life. And today's episode is all about rising above any life scars. I think this episode is going to truly inspire you and give you some secret keys to how to rise above any life challenges and perhaps some limiting beliefs that we become accustomed to. Now, as you know, here at Women Thrive TV, we host an amazing guests who share their life experiences and tools and strategies that they have learned along the way. And today's guest is lovely Danette Haag. Hello, how are you?
It's so good to be here, Ray. Thank you so much. I'm great.
Where are you joining us from?
From Colorado, United States.
Great. I'm excited about having you here on the show. One, because you have a phenomenal story, and two, because I know this is something that's going to truly support our audience from all walks of life, really.
Thank you. Yes, I definitely hope so. Definitely.
Yeah. So before we begin, I want to quickly introduce my guest today. I have had the absolute honor and pleasure to work with her for the last maybe year and got to know her a little bit more, her story, her journey, navigating her own life challenges. So Danette Haag is Beauty from Ashes. She's an inspirational speaker, soul strengthening mindset coach, trauma mentor, and published author. Overcoming severe burn injury from house explosion as a young child, Danette transformed her life and now inspires others to really live their own remarkable journeys. She was recognized as 2019 Women of Courage in Colorado and proudly holds the title of Mrs. Colorado 2021, becoming the first ever severely scarred woman to win an esteemed state beauty pageant. And that is so amazing. I know Danette has recently authored her own book, which is called Beauty from the Ashes. Danette, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ray. So great to be here.
Your story is phenomenal. And I know we're going to get a little bit more into it, but why are we talking about this subject today, about how to rise above any life scars?
Well, I've had scars, literal physical scars on my body since I was 10 when I went through my trauma of a house explosion and was burned to 70% of my body. And so I become an expert in rising above life scars. I believe that we all have scars, that we all been hurt by something along the way, and life leaves scars of all kinds on us and in our hearts and on our minds, right? I believe that our scars and our pain is a common thread that actually unites us, but we need to be able to pull the wisdom out of that pain and the strength out of the pain and all of the great things that our pain teaches us and not get stuck behind any life scar.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I've learned so much over my life from having to physically face my scars in a big way in order to overcome them and teach other people how to do the same.
Yeah. When we talk about scars, I know many people carry not only physical scars, but as I say, emotional scars, things that they have had to go through in life, and they're
Mhm.
not as visible as you have had to deal with. So I guess today is also supporting people who may have gone through some difficult things in their lives.
Right, because that it's that pain and those scars that are left on us that actually create our limiting beliefs and about ourselves and what we can't do. And I love it as a coach and even as a speaker in front of my audiences is to unlocking people's that what they're tied to, those limiting beliefs.
Yeah. So you've authored your book, which was recently released. Tell me a little bit more about
Yes.
your book.
Yes, it is my journey from broken to beautiful. It's called Beauty from Ashes, Transforming Wounds into Wisdom, Scars into Stars. And it's written in a way where the I meets the we. And so when I say that, it just means that every chapter, although it's based on my story, we've written it in a way that anybody can, it's so relatable. And I've heard comments even recently of people who have read it that are like, it's unbelievable how unique your story is, but how relatable it
Yeah.
was. And so there's little things in each chapter that everyone can pull from and learn from to help them rise above their own scars.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit
Mhm.
about the work that you do. So before we get in, so people can understand, what do you professionally do outside from being an author, a speaker, amazingly inspirational woman?
Well, I've taken what I do as a speaker, but I love working one-on-one with people. And I have a nonprofit for first responders. So some of the people I work with are from that, their own traumas that first responders deal with. But really, it's anyone with, I love helping one on one anyone with a limiting belief that are constantly being their own biggest critic, that get stuck behind the traumas of their life, behind those words that they heard maybe as a child that they can't do something or they can't accomplish something, and help them recognize that and encourage them past it, and share what I've learned on my own journey of becoming the first severely scarred woman to win a beauty pageant, to do the impossible. And I teach other people to do the same one on one and diving into their stories.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just to know there is someone who helps other people with that, it's a discovery in itself. Because I know when I was going through difficult times in my life, one, I wasn't aware of why and what I was going through, and two, wasn't aware there was support out there for that particular thing. So it's just so important to raise awareness around what you do.
And so many times we don't understand how our past is stopping us. And so once we can sit one on one with someone who's been there in whatever capacity, to actually be able to call them out and go, well, this is why you're looking at the world this through this lens. It's an old lens, and
Yeah.
we need to get rid of that lens and find a new one.
Yeah.
It helps.
Amazing. Well, let's dive right in into 5 keys to rising above life scars. So, what would be your first key strategy that you want to share with our audience today?
The very first one is embracing your scars as symbols of strength. That's where our wisdom comes from. But we have to have the courage to embrace them, to
Mm.
sit with them, to shake hands with them. That's what I call it, is shaking hands with my scars. And I did this when I was probably about 21. I had avoided my scars at all costs. And I think we all kind of do. The hardships from our past, we just don't want to deal with them. And we think that, no, I'm fine. That was 10 years ago. That was 20 years ago. But really, it's showing up in your life in some way. And so I actually went to the mirror and I examined every scar on my face, on my neck, on my ear. I have a disfigured ear, and I got to know them. And it wasn't until I was able to stop avoiding them and start embracing them and accepting them, that place of acceptance is where the healing could really go next level. But it had to start with that very first embracing it.
Wow, shaking hands with your scars. And you've said something there. People avoid that because
Yeah,
it's uncomfortable. Did you find that you had to face a lot of uncomfortable feelings to go through it?
100%. Like, you have to sit in all the feelings. I had to sit in the fear of getting burned again. I had to sit in just the shame that I was carrying, even though wasn't serving me, but getting stared at every day. There's this shame that would show up, that I had to figure out where that was coming from and how to get rid of it. Because anytime we have those heavy feelings or emotions around who we are, that's what's keeping us stuck. That's when that avoidance, that the shame, any guilt, any remorse, anything that is like heavy, if we aren't facing it and embracing it, we can't push through it and we can't release it. So the very first step is definitely embracing and accepting.
Mm, I love it. Thank you for sharing that and sort of shedding the light on it. I think it's really important to bring that to people awareness. What would be the next step in the process?
Is to find, for me, it was finding purpose in my pain. So, and when I say that, I mean, you have to like figure out what I learned from it. What was the wisdom gained? What would I maybe do different? Or how did I learn from that experience? And then how can I inspire and encourage other people? And for me, my first step in doing this, I became a nurse, and I took care. I was a scared kid in the hospital for many years. in and out of hospital. I knew what it was like to be a scared kid in the hospital. So I became a nurse taking care of scared kids in the hospital. That was my first level of finding purpose in my pain and giving back. Now I have a nonprofit that I help first responders. And so, in much the same way, before I started the nonprofit, I was a volunteer for other nonprofits helping burn survivors deal with their scars because I had such a personal experience with burn survivors. But however, now I've learned I can take that even further and spread that to bigger communities far beyond just that very personal, unique experience that I had. So figuring it out. And the cool part is that it can evolve and grow. It's like that purpose can just continue to grow. And as I had the courage to do things like be in a swimsuit on stage in heels, that inspiration spread to a whole nother level of people that I didn't even know needed it. So always being aware that there's purpose behind it, that our pain isn't lost, isn't just there for no reason. And if we have the courage, we can pick it up and we can use it to inspire other people, knowing that everyone understands what pain is, knowing that everyone's gone or going through something. Take that wisdom, take that strength, and pass it on to someone else and don't just let it lie there.
Wow. Your courage is so inspiring. You're saying, I allow myself to put on a swimming suit and stand on stage in a bathing suit. That's quite a big, courageous move. Did it feel empowering? How did it feel doing it?
It was all the emotions. I was also competing with women nearly half my age. So I was in my late 40s when I competed, and there was women in their 20s and 30s. So you have all the things that go in your head. It wasn't just my scars, it was all the other things that I had been through. I had been through miscarriage. I had 4 kids. So my body had been through a lot, right? And so honoring every piece of where I had been on my journey to becoming that woman that had the courage to stand on the stage. I was honoring that little girl in me who always wanted to be in a beauty pageant, but also the woman who had been through a lot as a mom and been through divorce. So all the other scars of my life kind of show up too. And I pushed through all that and honored the woman that I am and that I became. And it was scary. It was exciting. It was enlightening. It was empowering and maybe even a little bit crazy, but I was so happy that I did it.
And in those moments of our courage, it's like we pave a way for somebody else to see that it's
Mhm.
okay to stand on stage with your scars out. And as you
Yeah,
say, it's so interesting to hear. Obviously, it wasn't just the physical, again, not just the physical ones that was visible, but
right.
all the other things you've been through that which also came to surface and you had to deal with as well, which is really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. But pushing through is where the power comes from. And when you can pass that on and inspire other people, it kind of makes it worth it. In some pain, you're like, oh, that'll never be worth it. But it's there and
Yeah.
it's going to be there. So why not use it for as much good as we can?
Yeah, absolutely. And quietly, without you even knowing, you're actually helping somebody else. Maybe somebody in the audience was watching you and just being absolutely inspired. And you may never know. I always say to speakers, you may never know how your story, your courage, and will inspire others. You just have to keep showing up and paving the way.
So, so true.
Amazing. What is the next step in your 5 keys?
The next one is surrounding yourself with support and positivity. This is so key. Knowing and understanding who and what in your life inspires you and who and what in your life drains you and doing something about it. And then it really is. I've outgrown friends in my life. And I've had to, when I've seen people who are not so healthy for me, I've had to have the courage to set those boundaries because the key to getting past anything is to staying as positive within yourself as you can. And the only way to have and maintain a positive inner script is to make sure you are feeding yourself positivity and nourishing yourself positivity around you. So if you're constantly being drained by people or surrounding yourself with negative Nancy's or negative people, you're combating yourself. you're combating what you're trying to accomplish. And so constantly surround yourself with positivity, recognizing the things that fill you up and put more of that into your life. And
Mm.
then understanding what drains you and setting those healthy boundaries and being honest with yourself and really being honest with yourself. Am I being positive? I think the other piece of that is sitting within who you are, what thoughts trickle through your mind every day, and be honest with yourself and maybe even like kick yourself in the butt a little bit. Am I being positive? Am I being my own cheerleader? Am I being my biggest critic?
Yeah.
And you have to, while you're taking care of the people around you and the experiences around you that are either positive or negative, you also have to be working on yourself to make sure you are being positive to yourself and loving to yourself. All of those things are key.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a game changer when you start to actually move towards your goals and surround yourself with like-minded people, those who see the greatness in you. And that makes all the difference because I know on the days when it's hard to believe in something or believe in yourself and other people encourage you and see the greatness in you, it makes just absolute all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. And also to give yourself permission to see your own greatness, to see yourself as priceless as and honor that. I have my t-shirt on, perfectly imperfect. I love that phrase. And seeing ourselves not as some sort of vision of perfection or trying to be perfect, but understanding that where we're at right here in this moment, are priceless in who we are and what we have to offer as we learn and grow and move forward. So giving yourself permission to just love who you are and the imperfections that you carry with you. It opens a whole new door to success when you can learn how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, what is the next step?
The number four is to take bold steps towards your future. So for me, it's always having a goal, understanding that life is there for the taking, and we have to be able to always keep moving forward and keep moving forward. I mean, for me, it was even just becoming a speaker was a big, bold step for me.
Mm,
And how I knew what my next steps were is I had to figure out, like, have that quiet time. And like for me, I love running's my thing. Well, I can't even say I love it. I do it because I have great benefit from it. I always feel good when I'm done running. But I would go out on runs and I would get these amazing ideas and they would just come to me. And I didn't even know I was meant to be a speaker until, right? Like, oh, this is I guess I need to write this stuff down. And then so programs just came from that. So I feel like your next bold step will come to you organically. And then you have a choice whether to push it away or to accept it as a challenge and to move forward within it. So I experienced that shifting from being a nurse in the hospital to becoming a speaker on a stage. And I see it as just nurturing behind the
mm,
microphone instead of at the bedside.
yeah, wow.
So to me, it was I made that a natural shift. But that was a huge, bold move in my life. And then from there, it was doing the pageant and then writing the book. And it's setting that next big goal, believing that you can accomplish it, setting things in place in small and big ways to make sure that you do.
Yeah, and I think if people are wondering how are people achieving such great things and amazing things in their lives, again, every single thing you achieved was once a dream. It was non-existent.
Yeah.
It was just the seed of an idea, and
Yeah.
you took the courage and the steps to go after it.
And I just believed that I could. And I listened to that little voice inside of me that was like, you need to do this, you need to do this, and not had an argument with that voice saying, no, I can't. And no, it's like we often do is we try and tell that scary inner voice that's trying to push you in a direction like, no, I can't do that. It's not the right time. You can up with a million reasons. And you just listen to that as your next truth and you move forward through it. So setting goals and all those things that go along with that, but not be afraid to take bold steps towards your future.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we've got one more last thing as the last key that we're talking about today.
The biggest thing for me that has been the biggest gift in my life is having a daily spiritual practice so that I can stay centered and strong as a mom, as a wife, as a professional, and just as this burn survivor constantly moving forward into my life and surviving any traumas and issues in my life. I have to know and understand what my spirit needs to stay centered and to stay at peace, because that helps me stay strong and stay bold and be able to do these hard things. And so figuring out and knowing what are those. A lot of people, when I speak to audiences or even one-on-one, when I work as a coach, they don't know. Like, I don't know, because people don't take time out for themselves, right? So make sure you know what works for you and put it into your every single day. Running is a part of that for me. I unplug from my world, from my kids, from my husband, from emails and all the things. And I just go for a run. Like, I'll see in an hour. And it's one of the best things I can do. And it's where I have learned to connect, and I do movement meditation and things like that. And even now, one of the parts, whenever I do anything like journaling, or if I'm doing anything, working with a client, I light a candle.
Mm.
And I use candles used to be a place of fear for me, fear of fire. And I've overcome all of that. And it's now with this symbol of strength, this opening, a higher communication that lets my soul sing. So figuring out what works for you. Everyone needs to understand it, and also understand that evolves. So what works for me this week might not work for me next week. So I'm always searching for more things to calm my spirit. And I find time throughout the day to add that to my day, because that time to fill my spirit and keep me at peace makes me a better mom, makes me a better wife, makes me a better human in general. And so it's not only a gift for me, it's a gift for the people around me. And I think it's so essential.
Yeah. And it's really part of us appreciating ourselves and honoring ourselves, who we are, just giving that space. Because a lot of times, especially as moms or as women, we're the carers for everybody else. Everybody
Yeah.
else's needs comes first. And then somewhere down that line on that bucket is us. And
Yes.
I think that is definitely a great advice from you coming to say, look, take care of yourself, pour into your own bucket first.
Yes, absolutely. When we can fill ourselves with peace, then we don't get so snappy at our kids or as exhausted. I think peace even helps us, like, energizes us when we're just feeling at peace. We're not so drained or stressed out. So
Yeah.
all of that is a gift for other people as much as ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Danette, this has been so heart filling and so filling today. I wish we could go on, but I know we got to wrap up for today's conversation. What last bit of advice would you give to anyone listening to this episode and maybe still struggling or somewhere on their growth journey right now and wanting just a bit of support?
I think it's just the biggest thing you can do for yourself is to dive into who you are, where you've been, what is still there that needs healing, and then what are those ways that you can release that and move forward. Take care of your own stuff. No one else can do your work for you. And when you do, it opens your life to everything. I know that the things that I've accomplished, I would have thought many years ago, decades ago, were completely impossible.
Yeah.
So if you want the impossible to become possible in your life, you need to pour into you and to do your work and be honest with yourself about where it needs. We all have work to do. So where's your work at? It's not if you have work, it's where's it at? Let's
Yeah.
get it done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amazing. How do people get in touch with you, or where are your most active places where people can find you?
Well, Instagram and Facebook, Danette Beauty from Ashes. You can find me there. My website is beautyfromashesspeaker.com, and everything is on there, from my book to speaking stuff to all my handles and stuff. So you can find me there too.
Amazing. Danette, this has been amazing. I hope people will get to connect with you a bit more, follow your journey, and also get a copy of your book because it's such a beautiful read as well, just to be inspired.
Thank you so much, Ray. Thanks for your time today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. To all of our listeners, thank you for being here with us. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with your friends or your social media followers and tune in for more amazing episodes with our amazing speakers who share their 5 keys and strategies in rise and thrive in life and business and just things that you wish you knew sooner. So we're sharing really the top 5 strategies and tips from various experts from all around the world. So do make sure you tune in. And thank you so much for being here with us and supporting the Women Thrive TV. Look forward to seeing you on another episode. Take care.